design the screen first. Okay, so here it will, as I already mentioned, I will take one custom tab bar. Okay, tab view. It will be tab using the tab controller. We are going to switch the tab. Okay, so it will be custom. So let's make it first, then I will explain you. Okay, as you see here, we successfully implement the tab bar with the tab bar view. Okay, so using the controller we switch to the tab. Okay, so it is a planning tab, not the crop library tab. So now in this crop library tab, first we need to fetch all this data of the crop library from our database. Okay, So using the crop services, so as you see here, we simply created one custom tab bar view. As you see, this is the tab bar view here. Okay, here we added the two tabs, and here if there is no, if token is null, we simply get it on circular progress indicator. After getting the token, we simply initialize our tab. We add our custom tab bar, display our custom tab bar, and using the tab bar view, using the controller in the tab bar view, we simply switch to our views. Okay, so now in the crop library tab views, we need to display our crop library list. Okay, so here we already passing our crop services, and here crop services required. Okay, now in the crop tab, first of all we need we need one first of all Indian list where crop library list will be displayed. Okay, and inside that list we need to get our get crop library from our services. If you see here, we need to pass this in our list. Okay, so let's get design this screen. After that I will explain you. Okay, we don't have lists which will be future, because this list will get the data after fetching the list from the get crop library. If you see it in instead here, in this future list, we from crop services we fetch the data from the crop library and we placed it here. And here also I give one refresh crop, so whenever we refresh the screen, it will refresh the crop list and it will add it in the future crop list. Okay, so using the future builder, we are getting our data. If there is no data, if it has error, so it simply display the error here. And if it has no data, the list has no data, then we simply display no crops available. But if it has data, then inside the list view builder, we are using list view builder because there are lots of data. Okay, so reduce the complexity, so we are using the list view builder. Okay, now here in the item count, you simply pass the data.length, and inside the builder we created our container, that means our view where we display the crop details. This is some design that I added here. Okay, give some padding, give some margin, and give the background color of the box white, and give some border radius, and give some shadow, box shadow here. Okay, also with opacity we can do one thing, with value alpha equal to 0.08. Okay, so because its opacity is deprecated, so we are going to use this. Now we are also add one on tab. We don't need on tab because we are not going to display anything here. We are not going to display the details whenever user tap on it. Okay, so this is the crop info. So here it is the crop name. As you see here, there is the crop name. Added some styling on here, and after that we added the ideal session in our text. Also give one icon for the ideal session, if you see here, and put everything inside the row. Similarly for the time duration, we added one icon, and we added this added the duration days in the text, wrap it inside the row. Similarly for the ideal showing period, as you see here. Okay, this is just a simple screen. We simply fetch the data from our services, and if you run it again, so this is our list. Okay, so this is our list. We get all the lists in the crop library. Now as our crop library is done, now we need to do our coding for our planning tab. Okay, inside the planning tab, similarly if there is any planning available, we display in the list. If not, also we are going to create it. If it is already done, also user want to create, then there will be a floating button After click on it, user can create the planning. Okay, let's design the screen here. Crop planning tabs, sorry, crop library tabs. Planning tabs is similar. If we are creating one future list where if there is any kind of data, it will display. Similarly, as earlier, also added the refresh planning. Okay, whenever we refresh, we call this method. If there is any new data added, it will add in the list. Okay, so similarly using the future builder. Okay, so we check the connections. First of all, we check the connection. Okay, if it has error, we simply display the error. If it has no data, okay, if it has no data, now in earlier, if it has no data, we are not doing anything, we are simply display the text. Okay, now but in here, whenever it has no data in the planning section, we give one button here also to make it more to give some user experience. We add a button here so that user can create their first plan. Okay, here we are going to call one function which will create one dialog. In that dialog there will be some text, or sorry, there will be some text field which user need to fill. After that, that data will display in a list. Okay, so this is the list. This is the list view. Similarly, as crop library, okay, we give some design here, like for this container, this is the decoration part. This is I give some margin. Okay, and in the list item count, we simply add the list length. In the builder section, we created the design for the item. Okay, so here now whenever user click on that planning, will navigate to the task list screen for that selected planning ID. Okay, so we'll navigate to the planning details where we are going to list out the tasks. Okay, so similarly here, this is the planning information where we simply display the crop name. Now this crop name, as you see here, okay, so again now we display the crop name, and inside that, if it has a start date or it has a harvesting end date, we simply display it here with some designs. Okay, as you see here, with some designs, we simply add it. As you see here, this is the expected harvest date, this is the start date. Okay, now if there any kind of notes in there, because notes is optional, so if there is no notes, it will not display anything. If there is note, then it will display the notes here. As you see here, it will display the note. Similarly, I added some icons, and this is the text with some decorations or with some stylings. Now this is the reminder row, because if you know, for planning, if you already see in our if you see here in planning, there is some reminder, irrigation reminder and fertilizer reminder. If it is true, we simply display yes. If it is false, we simply display no here. Okay, so this is for irrigation reminder. Okay, so it is not true or false. Suppose if it is true, we simply display. Suppose irrigation reminder is true, then we display this block. If irrigation reminder is false, then we not display this container. Okay, then suppose fertilizer reminder is true, then only it will display the fertilizer reminder section. If both is true, then we are going to display both container. Okay, so this is simple. So now here in our screen, we add one floating action button. Okay, I position it in the bottom and the right, that means the corner, in the corner of the screen. We added one floating action button where whenever user click on it, similarly as for the, if there is no task, we add one dialog here, right? Similarly, whenever user click on that floating action button, it will show the same dialog. Okay, so first thing we need to do, just run this code first. Let's see if there is kind of planning or not. Okay, as you see here, there are two planning. as I already added some planning. If you see here, there are two planning. Okay, so this is display here. As you see, rice, start and harvest that, winter session white. This is the node and this is the irrigation, because here irrigation is yes. If you see here, here irrigation reminder is yes, that's why it is showing only the irrigation container. Here if you see, both is true, so that's why it is displaying the both irrigation and fertilizer. Okay, so UI is simple. Now whenever user click on it, we need to display one dialog. Okay, so let's do one thing. First display that dialog. Okay, now here whenever user click on it, we will display, suppose so create planning dialog. Okay, so whenever user click on it, void, so here suppose show dialog. Okay, so dialog, so context will be context, and builder section we are going to build context. So here in our alert dialog we need to, if you see here in the body section, okay, now this is not planning created. Okay, anyway, whenever we are adding one planning, we need to add multiple things, right? We need to select crop also. We need to, because here we are only passing the crop ID, not the crop name. If you see here, so but for crop we are getting the crop from the get crop library. If you see here this is crop library, right? So here we are fetching all these crops. If you see all these crops, so now whenever user click on it, in the dialog we need to fetch all these crops with their ID, and whenever user select one, we need to pass this ID. Okay, so our dialog will be big. So just do one thing, return create planning dialog, where we need to pass crop services. Okay, just wait, crop services on planning created, just do one thing, on planning created we need to refresh planning. We are sending the refresh planning. Okay, refresh planning means we need to send a refresh list here. Okay, just do one thing, just create this class. Okay, just do one thing, also in okay, now let's go and create one screen for, not screen, just do one thing, create one utils for create planning dialog. Okay, here we need to create the dialog, and it will be stateful widgets, create planning dialog, where we need to pass the final crop services, and final void callback on, we are using the callback function, right? Okay, if you see now in going here, just import it. Okay, now here we need to create one custom dialog with feel like select crop id. Okay, and start date, expected harvested date, and one notes will be there, and one irrigation reminder and a fertilization reminder that will be in boolean because it will be yes or no. Okay, or yeah, that's it. But we are getting the crop from the crop library services, if you remember. So because here we need only crop id, not the crop name, but to display it we can't display the crop id right in a drop down. So in a drop down we are going to display the crops based on that services that you're getting from the crop library. Okay, now let's do one thing here. From the crop library we are getting the crop data. Now we need to design our alert dialog here. Okay, build method in our build we are simply display on one alert dialog. Okay, it is in here give one shape. Okay, give some styling in from the border. Okay, so here in the title we add create crop plan. Okay, with some styling. Now in the content section, first of all we need the crop list. Okay, so inside the future builder we added all these things. Okay, so in the future we simply add our list. Okay, now in the builder if waiting we simply display one circular indicator. If it has error we simply display one error text with one button which can serve as a retry because it will call this method again, get crop library method again whenever user click on the retry button. Okay, now if it has no data then it will simply display no crops available. Okay, for that drop down only, not for like for the alert dialog, or for we are doing this for the drop down. Okay, now if it has data then uh, inside the from, okay, inside the from we are simply insert one list view. Inside the list view first item will be our drop down. Okay, second will be our start date, and there will be a harvest date, there will be a note section. Okay, so there are switches for two switches, that is irrigation and second one will be fertilizer. Okay, now go to our drop down. Here in our drop down we simply give this decoration. This is just the decoration. Okay, if you want you can skip it. Okay, now in the value section, if you know, we added the selected crop id. Whatever the user select from the crop list, we simply take the selected crop id here. Okay, if you see on sense we simply take the selected crop id, we simply add the uh, crop.id. If you know, in our crop section there are id and name also from our, if you go our crop model, this is the id, right? So we are calling them using the crop.id, and in this value we are setting it in our selected crop id, if you see here on sense. So that's it. Please select a crop. This is just the validator. Okay, so this is our drop down. So this is our start date. This is just a simple design where in a list style, I added list style. You can also simply use on text field also. So if start date equal to null, then we simply display selected start date. If it is not, then we simply display the selected date in this format. DDMMYYYY. Okay, and give some styling. And whenever user click on that list style on tab, if you see here on tab, we display one date picker. Okay, where initial date is initial date, that means the selected date. Whenever date picker is open, the selected date will be right now this date, that means the 5th September will be selected, and first date will be start from 2000 and the last date will be 2100. Okay, so whenever user selected one date, that selected date will be assigned to the start date. Okay, similarly these things is happen in our harvested date also. Okay, if you see, design is different but functionality is same. Okay, now coming back to our text field, this is one text field to add the node. There is some design. Okay, we are simply adding the value in our node field or in our node string. This is, if you see, this is a string variable. As you see, this is a string variable. Now coming back to switches, so here we added the boolean variable. If you see in the value section, if user uh, uh, whatever user sends the value, whether it is yes or no, based on that we are giving the value in our boolean variable. This is for the irrigation and this is for the fertilization. Okay, now coming back to the action part, here if you see, actions means the button part. Alert dialog has to add the buttons, we need to call it in the actions section. Okay, so here in one text button which is cancel, if you see it is cancel, it is simply we simply close the alert dialog whenever user click on the cancel button. Okay, now in this create plan button, whenever user click on it, this is not styling. Okay, no need to focus on this part, this is just styling. Okay, whenever click on create plan, if it is submitting then it will change to creating. Okay, if it is not, then it is simply by default it is create plan. Whenever user is submitting the form or whenever it is loading state, as you see here, whenever it is submitting, it is in a loading state. So whenever it is a loading state, it will be displayed as the creating. Okay, simple logic. Now here on press, we need to submit the form, right? Because if I am doing anything wrong, just wait. On tab, no, yeah, everything is correct. Okay, no, now on tab, if it is submitting, on tab we need to submit the form. Okay, so just do one thing, here is submitting. Okay, we are going to submit the form. Okay, let's now just do one thing, run the code again. Okay, our dialog is showing perfectly if you see here whenever you click on it. So now let's check. Okay, our list is also display correctly. If you see, list is also display correctly. Suppose if I select start date, suppose from 11th, harvest date will be suppose February, notes, start harvesting, irrigation yes, fertilization yes. If I create it, okay, crop plan created successfully. If you see here, where yeah, this is this one, sorghum zoar, start harvesting. Okay, now planning creation is done successfully. Okay, now next will be, we are going to create the tasks. We are going to create the tasks for this for one particular planning. Okay, before that, just do one thing. Let's do one thing. Whenever user click on a planning tab, okay, where is the planning tab where user click and go to the next screen? Okay, here I got it. Now here, whenever user click on that, we need to navigate user to that in a detailed screen where user will get the tasks also uh, create the tasks. Okay, just do one thing, navigator dot push, navigator dot push context, material page route, builder context, and here planning detail screen, suppose planning filter, planning, we need to send the planning also. Okay, just do one thing, just create one model screen here. Okay, as you see here, similarly for our planning, we are creating one show create task dialog. Okay, also we send this task services and planning ID. Also we created on callback function on task created. On task created, we are going to simply refresh the task. Okay, so now here we are going to, for plan details, we are going to create, update and delete tasks also. Similarly for show create tasks, we are going to delete and update tasks also we are going to design, also we are going to display the tasks that is available for that, for this planning area. Suppose this is one plan, right? This is one plan, this is one plan. We need to check on which plan there are some tasks assigned. If it is not, we are going to create it, we are going to update it, and also we are going to delete it. Okay, in detail screen, as you see, I already show create dialog. Okay, now this is for the update task status. Okay, so whenever user call on this function, it will, from the services, it will update the task status, where we need to pass the task ID and the status. Okay, after that we simply refresh the task. Whatever the task is in this list, we are going to simply refresh it, and also based on the status, we are going to mark the task. Based on this, we will also display one message also here. Okay, now similarly for the delete task, whenever user click on the delete task or call on this function, it will first of all display one alert dialog. Okay, it will ask user, if user click on the delete button, on press on delete. Okay, whenever user click on the delete button, it is simply marked as true, and if it is marked as true, then it will simply call the delete tags function from the crop services. Okay, now in the build section, in the in our UI section, in our build section, in our app bar, we simply display the crop name. Okay, or the planning details or the crop name. Now inside the column, in the body section, in the container, it is our details header. Okay, this is our header section, where we simply display, we user click on which planning. Suppose this is my planning, right? So rice, this is rice, this is for the rice, this is the planning name rice. It will display, this card will be displayed in the planning section also. Okay, this card will be displayed in the planning section also. Similar, this is same design. If you see here, this is the same design. See, this is the same design. Okay, if there is any kind of node, this is display here, and we wrap the irrigation same as here. If you see here how we wrapped it. Okay, this is wrapped inside the chip. In here it is wrapped inside a container. Okay, basically the same thing. Now inside that there is one task text here. As you see, this is a task text, and below that there is one task list. As you see here, this is task list. Okay, using the future builder, we simply call the task list, and we call the task list and we store it inside the future task list. Okay, and similarly here, if it is waiting station, it is in circular. If it has error, it is simply display the error, and if it is has the data, then you simply display these things. If it has not data, simply build a empty state. Okay, if you go, this is the empty state, where we simply display no task yet, and if there is no task, user can create task by simply click on the create task dialog. Okay, so now if you see in the build task item, if user has data, we simply call this build task item, where we simply display the tasks here. If you see here, if you go here, this is the UI. Okay, we simply display the task icon, display on task icon. If you see, display on task icon inside the circle avatar, and this is the task detail section, where we simply give the task type. Okay, we simply give the task date also here. If you see, task date also here, and here it is the status will be changed based on the user. If users mark as completed, it will display as completed, otherwise it will display as pending. Okay, if you see here, if user create, this is on pop-up menu. Okay, in the item there is a pop-up menu. Whenever user click on it, it will display two item and a deleted task or update task. Okay, and now based on that, if user select marked as completed, the value will change to completed. Otherwise, if it is marked as pending, it will display as pending. Okay, now whenever user click on the delete task, the value will be deleted and it will call the delete task. If you see delete task, here it will ask. Similarly, we already see that delete task. Okay, so now this is the get task icon. Based on some task icon, suppose it is swing, we simply display this icon. If it is irrigation, we display this icon. If it is fertilization, we display this icon based on that. Okay, and the task type, we display the task type in the create task dialog. If you see here, whenever user click on the show create task dialog, we created on task dialog, right? So this is our task dialog where these are the name parameter that we send, and this is the callback function. Okay, now this is the task type. We simply create one array of task type. You can add your own. Okay, and this is the selected task date. We store the selected task in the string. This is the selected date. Type, this type, whenever you select, suppose it is user select snowing, so here it will display the snowing. Okay, so we simply store the selected date in this variable and is submitting. It is similar as the create planning dialog. Okay, as you see in the from, this is the header text. Okay, this is the drop down field where we display the task type. Item will be task type. This list will be display here. This will be display in this drop down, for where user can select one task type and it will be stored in the selected task type. Okay, so and now this is the date selector. Similarly, we simply display one date picker. Okay, now this is the container where we display the selected date. If you see, we display the selected date in a row. This is the icon and this is the text. Okay, inside a row. After that, these are the actions. If it is cancel, we simply cancel the dialog. If it is yes, if it is create task, then we submit the form. If you see, submit the form. Here, similarly as the create planning, we validate. If selected date is not available, we simply display an error message, says that we simply is submitted to true. Okay, we format the task date. Okay, we format the task date to in this format. You can use any format you want. Okay, after that we call the create crop task using the task services, and we simply pass the planning ID, selected type, and the task date. Okay, we simply pass this data, and after that we'll get one response that task created successfully. Okay, if task created successfully, we simply call that callback function on task created. This on task created will refresh our list. If you noticed here, refresh our task list. Okay, that's it. Just do one thing, just run the code again. We will check the task screen also. Now go to the planning, go to this planning section. Suppose this rice we need to check. As you see, this rice, this is the header section. This rice has two tasks, irrigation and irrigation. There is, suppose we select here, if you see, mark as completed and delete task. Okay, so you can do one thing, we can suppose check delete task. It will ask, are you sure you want to delete this task? If you delete it, this task is deleted. If you see, this task is deleted successfully. Now if you want to mark as completed, if you click on it, if you see here, task marked as completed, it is completed. We simply cross it. Okay, now let's create one task. Okay, suppose task type is fertilizing. Okay, we select one date as suppose 18 and we create the task. Let's check create the task. Okay, as you see, fertilizing task is created. Now status is pending. By default status is pending. Whenever we mark as completed, this status is changed to completed. Okay, so tasks and the planning creation and the tasks creation, deletion, and update is done successfully. Okay, so our planning section is done successfully. We simply display the crop library, we simply display the plannings, or we created the plannings. Okay, after that, for a particular planning we created some tasks, we delete it, we marked it as complete, we check everything. Okay, now in the next part we are going to create our Mandi section, where we are going to display the uh, prices of various crops, or prices of for market wise prices we are going to check using the API. Okay, if you have any queries, just comment down below. Okay, I will try to answer it. And if you are not watching the previous video, just go to the previous video and watch it. This way you will get the proper way to learn this project. Okay, thank you.